subhanahu wa ta'ala promised. You remember when Ibrahim Alaihissalaam was promised that you will be given the land, the holy land of Jerusalem? It was given to them. But later on there came a qawm that started worshipping idols, one of the giants. They forgot about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it came time that Musa Alaihissalaam was commanded to go back and take over Jerusalem once more, to cleanse it of those who were worshipping false idols instead of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the true Lord of the worlds. So Musa alayhi salam, he took the people, the Israelites, after all this time. And when they went, they arrived in the area, he sent 12 people as scouts first, a scouting army. But when those 12 people went, they saw inside the city that there were giants living there. They became fearful, they quaked. They came back, and 10 of those people, 10 of the scouts, they said to Musa alayhi salam, we cannot enter there. That we look like grasshoppers in front of these people. How are we going to fight them? But 2 of them were people, they said to Musa alayhi salam, the 10 people and the rest of them, that you and your Lord go and fight those people. We're not going with you. After all of these favors. They crossed the river Nile, they saw these greatnesses, but they didn't accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still in their hearts. But except there were 2 people within them who were the believers. They said to those people that, what kind of people are you? You are still thinking about how giant they are. Have you not seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala part the sea for you? Where were you when we were crossing the sea? One of them was Yusha ibn Nun, Alaihissalaam, who was also to become a prophet in the future. Subhanallah. He said to them, Kaise logo si? If you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to defeat giants, you are falsely mistaken. What He wants you to do is believe in Him and just enter through the gate. The rest Allah will do Himself. In any case, those people, they still didn't accept. They said no. Na'udhu billah. After all of those favors that Allah had done upon them, they rejected. So ultimately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given this mission to that person who spoke in the favor of the divine decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yusha ibn Nun was supposed to become the future leader after all. This shows us that that person who stands for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in difficulty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises his ranks. I will tell you the story of Yusha ibn Nun shortly. The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped him defeat those giants, unbelievable. But those people that were there at the time, who were previously the slaves of the Egyptians, they had to eventually die out because they could not do anything. But they lived on man and salwa, and their future generations grew up. And those were the people that were born on heavenly fruits and heavenly food, and they didn't know anything about the false idols. When they grew up as believers, they followed Yusha ibn Nun alayhi salam into battle. But came the time that was after Musa alayhi salam's passing from this world, and Harun alayhi salam as well. Musa alayhi salam, when he was about to leave the world, in his last few moments, he requested Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I want to be buried and I want to go and see the Holy Land. So he was buried close to it somewhere. And on the night of Mi'raj, you remember when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was traveling from Mecca, he saw that Musa alayhi salam was worshipping Allah in his grave. That was on the way, subhanAllah. That proves this as well. In any case, after their passing, after Harun alayhi salam's passing as well, came time that Yusha alayhi salam was given the command by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reclaim the place where idol worship had now taken root. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he gathered the people. He didn't gather just normal people. He gathered only the people who were truly thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He commanded them that I don't want people who have just been married and who want to uphold their marriage. I don't want people who have children waiting for them. I don't want people whose goats and bakriyan, they have children, that they be thinking of them on the walk. I need people who have none of that and they are ready to sacrifice their life for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only those people set off with Yusha alayhi salam. And when they came to the river of Jordan, it was quite difficult to pass through this. In a hadith of Sahih Muslim, it is stated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stopped the waves of the sea and river only for two people in history. The parting of the sea was different for Musa alayhi salam, but the waves themselves, one was the Ark of the Covenant for Nuh alayhi salam, and the other was Yusha alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the waves still, the water was still, and he walked through it with his army, subhanAllah. When he got across and he arrived at one of the cities called Jericho, it was a city of giants. The people were scared of that, but Yusha alayhi salam was about to write history. He circled it for 6 days. For 6 days and nights he circled the city, and the opposing people, the giants, they were fearful, until finally he was commanded and all of them let out the takbir, Allahu Akbar. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with this takbir, he caused all the walls to collapse on the side of the giants, and they perished. And then they entered. But at this moment as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded that those of you who are believers, enter while you are bowing and say specific words, which means that, oh Allah, forgive us. But when they entered, they changed that word slightly, hittatun, and they said hintatun, which means wheat in the Quran, in Arabic language. There was some munafiqeen who entered while on their backs instead of bowing, opposite to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they did not accept the decree, because arrogance, when it takes over a person, they go astray. So did so on their back. But before this, I want to mention to you that just before Yusha alayhi salam was about to conquer the city, he was known as the general. Just before he was about to conquer it, they were given a 7th day. You know, Saturday, like ours is Friday and the Christians is Sunday. They were given Sabbat, Yawm al-Sabt. They were given Saturday as a holy day to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on that day, they were not allowed to eat from certain things. They were not allowed to hunt. They were not allowed to fight. So came the 6th day and the sun was about to set. But Yusha alayhi salam knew that if the sun sets, then in the night these giants will run away. We won't be able to defeat them. The idol worshippers, they will run away and they might attack us later. So he turned to the sun and he said to it, "O sun, you are the believer in Allah and I am the believer in Allah. So Allah, stop this sun for me." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stopped the sun for only this person in all of human history. It was stopped. And until Yusha alayhi salam won that battle, that sun stood there waiting for it. SubhanAllah. So it stayed the 6th day until he won. Eventually, he entered and he removed idol worship from the area. One such story about Yawm al-Sabt is from a lot of time later, where there were no prophets. They were also from the followers of Musa alayhi salam and Israelites. You know, they were given a day that you're not supposed to hunt on this. But where they used to live, there used to be a river going past. And on that day, on the Saturday, is when the fish used to come in the river. It didn't used to come in all of the week. It only would come on Saturday. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had forbidden them. But what did they do? They thought that they could trick the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the pagalpan of theirs. They built small holes in the ground of the seabed, of the riverbed, and they put nets in certain areas, that when the fish would come on the sea on the Saturday, they wouldn't technically be directly, they wouldn't be fishing on that day, would they? But the fish would get stuck. So they would come on the Sunday and take the fish. They would set up the nets and the holes on Friday, take the fish on Sunday. But there were 3 types of people there. One who would actively be involved in it. One who would stay silent. They would say, let them do it. We're not getting involved, so we shouldn't be punished. And there were 3rd people who did the duty of the prophets. They were the scholars. They said to them, why are you doing this? Just leave this. This is against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the people who were silent, they would ask those scholars that, why are you trying to stop them? Leave them alone. If they want to invite the wrath of Allah, then leave them, let them do that. But they used to say that we are doing it so that we can answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment that we did something. And maybe they will fear. But came time that they did this eventually. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's obviously a transgression, no matter how you look at it. Dramas don't work with the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You might be able to do it here, where the people say that until the police catches me, it's not illegal. but you can't run away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah punished them. And those believers, the scholars, they built a wall in between because they wanted to not associate with those people who were directly against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They feared Allah. Came time when they did it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turned them into monkeys. Astaghfirullah. And the believers, when they climbed over, they saw that they were apes and monkeys. Astaghfirullah. But within 3 days, those people then perished after turning into monkeys. They didn't have any children. Na'udhu billah. So from all of these stories, we learn one main lesson. That when you see someone doing something bad, and when it's time to stand up for the religion of Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's only one way around it. Either you side with them, or you stay silent or against them. There's only two sides. Either you're with or you're against. Because we didn't come to this world to enjoy our benefits. We didn't come to this world that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to eat and we don't do anything in return. So anyone who sees zulm and does not try stopping it, he is a part of that zulm. Whatever kind of zulm it may be. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He commands Amrul bil ma'rufi wa nahyun anil munkar. This is a duty on everyone, be there a time of prophethood or not. We are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's no prophets, but we, each of us, is now commanded to do that good, just the way all of the past ummahs were commanded to do as well. May Allah give us the tawfiq to remember the graces Allah has done upon us and to keep Him in remembrance. Anyone who is devoid of this remembrance has nothing to gain in this world. Everything will turn against him. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin. Alhamdulillah.